Hello everyone, this is Miss Siddiqui here. In this Greek drama SDL video, we are going to talk about different elements of Greek theater, both in terms of content and form. So here is a Greek theater in Athens, Greece. We're going to talk about the structure and functionality of the different pieces of this theater. So, all Greek theaters in ancient Greece were amphitheaters, which are outdoor theater spaces, which were carved into mountainsides. So the theater has different pieces. The biggest piece is the theatron, which literally in Greek means the watching place, and that is the seating area for the audience that kind of goes upwards, and then as you get further back, you're actually elevated into the further elevated into the mountain. Then, in the middle of the theatron, or in kind of the middle of the semicircle of the theatron, we have the orchestra, which in Greek means the dancing place, where the chorus of the play would sing and describe the action of the play, and also where the actors would perform. The skene, which is behind the orchestra, is the raised platform or building where actors would change for different scenes, and they would be behind proskenion, which is a vertical structure on top of the skene that serves as not just the backdrop of scenery for the play, but it covers the happenings in the skene area. And then we have the parados, which is the entryway for the chorus, and that actually is the name for the first song that the chorus sings in the play. It matches the theater structure alleyway where the chorus enters through, which is on the outskirts of the theatron. So you can see in this map where the parados exactly is in relation to both the orchestra and the skene, and then you can have a more realistic view of where the proskenion is on top of the skene and behind the orchestra. And then I have two pictures for you here that show you where the parados are in the theater, and this is from pictures in Ephesus, which I actually had a chance to visit in Turkey in 2014. So see if you can identify the parts of the theater from a different angle based on what I just talked about. So here is an illustration of the theater. So you can see we've got the skene, the proskenion. You can see where the scenery is built in. You can see where the chorus is, and that orchestra space, and then the theatron, and then the parados where the chorus enters and also exits. So this is the Theater of Dionysus in Athens, Greece, which I also visited. So this is me at the Acropolis in 2014, right in front of the Theater of Dionysus. So let's talk about the chorus in the Greek theater, because that's a major part of Greek theater. So the chorus were trained and costumed at the expense of the state, and they were paid for by the wealthy citizens of the city, and that was actually the way that wealthy citizens would kind of pay their dues to the community. And that's how a lot of drama was funded in that time. So the chorus members were usually chosen from the general population, and chorus members were unpaid volunteers doing their civic duty, and the rehearsal for a chorus for a performance was around 4 months or so. So it was a pretty big commitment for a civic duty if you think about that comparatively to the civic duties that we ask for from Americans today. You know, we ask them to vote, to serve on juries. We don't ask them to rehearse for plays for 4 months. So it actually was a very intense part of the Greek cultural experience. So let's talk about the different types of Greek drama. There's comedy, tragedy, and satyr plays. So comedy and tragedy were the most popular types of plays in ancient Greece, basically hence the modern popularity of the comedy and tragedy masks to symbolize theater. And then satyr plays are shorter plays that are performed between the acts of tragedies, like at the festival of Dionysus. And then they made fun of the plight of the tragedy's characters. So they are like comedies, but shorter. And satyrs are mythical, half-human, half-goat servants of Dionysus. And during the festival, satyr plays kind of serve as a comic relief, as the tragedies are quite heavy, even if they are cleansing for the audience. So the satyr and satyr plays spawned the modern word satire, which you might be familiar with. So certain things made Greek theater pretty unique from modern-day theater. So Greek theater uses a chorus, and the chorus reflects what the audience is thinking. So they kind of color the commentary of the play and also provide background and spectacle for the audience. The chorus primarily functions as a narrator in telling stories and providing information. So remember, in Greek theater, there weren't really new stories to tell. Every audience member who attended a Greek play already knew what was going to happen because the stories that were performed in plays were stories that were part of their culture. So the chorus just kind of fills in some of the information that not every Greek citizen would have, and they kind of function to intensify the emotion and establish the mood of the play, and they also maintain a sense of ceremony and ritual in each play, with the beginning parados and the exit and the scene changes. So the chorus really kind of creates fluidity between the whole play. So there is a lot of music and song in Greek theater, and the chorus basically punctuates the action of the play with different bursts of song and dance and chants. And sometimes they had instruments like lyres and horns and drums and bells, and then of course they had the parados, which is the entrance, and then the exitos, which is the ending, where they comment both on the beginning and end of the play. So let's talk about costumes in Greek theater. Typically they consisted of standard Greek attire, so like long flowing robes that are colored symbolically. There's the chiton, which is a sleeveless tunic belted below the breast. The himation, which is draped around the right shoulder. You might see that in popular representations of Greek theater. And then they also sometimes wore short cloaks over the left shoulder. A major part of Greek theater were the masks that they wore. And so here are some images of different masks worn by the actors in Greek tragedies and comedies. So the masks had a couple of different functions. One, the mask brought the characters' faces closer to the audience. So you can imagine if you sit at the very top of the amphitheater, you wouldn't be able to actually see a human's face, but if you had an enlarged mask, you might feel closer to the character, connected, and kind of understand that character more. Masks also enabled an actor to play several different roles. They would just put on a different mask. And then also masks help the audience to distinguish the sex or age or social status of particular characters. And then also masks had different emotions to convey how a particular character was feeling at that time. And then also masks had a very practical purpose, which was to amplify the voices of the actors, basically like modern-day megaphones. So the Greeks definitely had technology, which you know about, and so this was one of the technology pieces, masks with really open mouths that would amplify what the actors were saying. And so actors wore masks with exaggerated facial features. So here are two different examples. So if you're sitting, I gave you a view at the very top of the amphitheater, it would be easier for you to see a more expressive mask than to just watch a human not wearing any sort of costume. So Greek actors originally started wearing masks that looked very human-like and just kind of covered part of the face. And then eventually, as the size of the theater increased, they kind of became these whole headpieces that represented kind of legends from Greek mythology, and they became much more kind of not real and exaggerated as time went on. So those are just some details about some elements of Greek theater. So make sure you take notes in your STL packet, and thanks for watching.